Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angryprepper. So today's video, we're going to talk about the United States giving up its sovereignty on Monday. Now, let me start out by saying this is not giving up American sovereignty, guys. I know a lot of people keep saying that. It's a crack in the door or headed in that direction, but this first step is not giving up American sovereignty. So that needs to be stated. A lot of people are going out there and saying, we're giving up our sovereignty. No, it's not. There's a main reason why our sovereignty is not going to be given up. And even if Biden or whatever future president was to do it, there'd be one hell of a fight here in this country. We'll get to that in a little bit. So now, Biden is going to sit down with WHO, the World Health Organization, and talk about giving WHO more authority over the next pandemic. Now, I found it interesting in a couple of articles, this meeting was an emergency meeting. There's only one reason why it would be an emergency meeting instead of just a meeting. It's because something else is coming around that corner, and they want to push and or introduce it in a hurry. So for that, they have to have Biden fly over there. Because he's not in his right state of mind, he'll sign over whatever the hell he's going to sign over. Now, who is going to have medical authority over whatever decisions need to be made during the next pandemic? That's the one thing you got to understand. So whatever WHO says, the United States has to follow. And there are a bunch of other nations doing the same thing. That doesn't make it right. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that they're going to implement stupid rules, sorry, that didn't work in the last pandemic. Who botched the first response, their biggest response, they've ever had, which was Mr. 19, COVID. So being that that was their first actual response and they fucked that up, they're only going to make it worse. And so why are we giving them the authority to do so? Well, we all know, guys, that Biden and everybody in the political realm, whether it's here in the United States, Russia, China, Japan, Brazil, doesn't matter. They're all in on the elites taking over this thing we called America, or this place we called the world, right? So they're looking to take our freedoms away pretty slowly. Now, some will say it's happening fast. It is happening fast, but not as fast as you would think it is. Like in a movie, it's a snap of a finger. It's not the snap of a finger. It's event after event after meeting after events that start to form a trend where we're headed in that direction of this totalitarianism, a world where there's one world government. Now, everybody talks about one world government and how it's good for the world, especially the World Economic Forum. They say that shit all the time. So clearly, guys, we're headed in that direction. But this meeting or emergency meeting on Monday is not that. Biden's not going to sit down with them and all of a sudden give our sovereignty up. He's giving up medical authorities. Now, medical authorities is just as bad, actually. When you think about it, it's just as bad, because here is why it's bad. Because if WHO deems anything an epidemic or a pandemic, they could step in and make rules and make certain calls about what's going on here. Keep in mind, guys, what I just said. If they want to make something a pandemic or an epidemic, they can step in and start making rules and regulations. Now, we have an epidemic here. It's called being fat, right? So these fat kids that are running around, they're part of this epidemic called obesity. But obesity being a problem, it doesn't take nothing for WHO to come down and be like, oh, got a lot of fat kids running around. We're going to have to do something about that. Then they'll start overreaching. Then they'll start making regulations here in the United States as well. And of course, the United States government, at least the current administration, and the rest of the liberal and democratic states and cities will follow suit. A lot of the righteous states and or Republican states will not follow suit. Now, you do have some turncoat Republicans out there, so unfortunately, you'll see who they are when the hammer is dropped. But when WHO starts making things an epidemic or a pandemic, guys, then it's going to be a problem. Because the whole Second Amendment, according to who you talk to, Democrats and liberals and these idiots out there, they think that the whole gun thing is an epidemic. And if it is an epidemic, what does that mean? That means who could step in And because it's a medical emergency, have the final say. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because a lot of us are not going to give up whatever firearms we have. We're going to fucking go to war. That is where it gets interesting, because if who tries to drop the hammer on the Second Amendment because the epidemic of gun violence is an issue to them, and they find that they want to step in, they could authorize certain actions to be taken here. That's where the big problem lies. Now, again, our sovereignty is not going anywhere, but this is that crack in the door that WHO wanted. This is the crack in the door that the World Economic Forum wants, to get in there and see what they can do. This is where the fighting begins. Now, I told you guys before, I'll say it again, guys. For those of you that never been in this kind of a caliber of fight that's coming, it's going to get real, and it's going to get real fast when we get to that point. Now, this could take another 10, 20 years to get to that point. And by then, a lot of us will be old and out of shape to fight. Then we'll be left with hipsters and fucking tofu eating people trying to fight this. And they probably won't. They'll probably give this up without batting an eyelash, because they don't have the balls to fight back. They'll just go, yes, sir, boss, and then that's it. It's done. So it's something to consider, guys. It's a direction I see it going in. It's my opinion. It's not fact. A lot of the things that are happening are fact, but as far as the direction it's going in, it's my opinion. It's my opinion that World Health Organization is using this as a stepping stone or a crack in the door to breach the Second Amendment and American way of life. Anyway, guys, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching.